Okay, so today's session is on UNC Charlotte's Quality Matters resources. I am Lynn Wahl. I'm an instructional designer here in the Center for Teaching and Learning, and I have with me Enoch Park, who is our Quality Matters and Online Learning Specialist. And we're just going to go over what the current existing resources are for QM. Quality Matters is both a rubric and a peer review process and professional development materials. So those materials include the APPQMR, the IYOC, all of the other workshops that Quality Matters puts on. They have a really big conference that they do, and they have regional conferences as well. You're probably very familiar with the rubric by now. The rubric was created by faculty for faculty use in a peer review process in reviewing courses. And the four central themes of Quality Matters is continuous, centered, collegial, and collaborative. So continuous means that we are always focused on revising the courses and making them better. It is centered on the student perspective, and it is focused on national standards. So this isn't something that Quality Matters just invented. It is something that was, the rubric is created by faculty, by a large group of people all working together. They're all experts, instructional designers, faculty. The rubric is also collegial, meaning that the review is a collegial process between faculty members who have current teaching experience, who are experts in their field, and it's also, the collaborative aspect of it. So designed by faculty to share your experiences and your expertise with one another for that continuous improvement. So before I move on here, do you have any questions in your role so far with the current experience that you have that you would like to ask that we can clarify before moving on?
Oh, no, this is good. I need a nice general overview just as well.
Okay, great. So I'm going to change the slide and then hand it over to Enoch for an explanation of the factors affecting course quality and how Quality Matters views these aspects.
Thank you, Lynn, for a wonderful introduction and overview of the Quality Matters program. And it's great to have you join us, Teresa. Compared to the traditional face-to-face courses, we would say that it needs a village to support a high-quality online course. In other words, multiple parts of the campus community will need to team up with the faculty and work together to provide the best learning experience for students. First, a high-quality online course will require a careful and thorough course design. From the planning stage on, the faculty will reflect and invest time to design the presentation of the contents, select the right channel and medium for content presentation, as well as online interaction between the learner and faculty, between the peer learners, and between the learner and the course contents. Various methods of assessment can be used, once again, suitable for online environment, keeping the learners accountable for their own learning. The focus of Quality Matters program is to review the course design and offer helpful recommendations to improve the course to a higher level of quality, so to allow all students to be successful in the course. Next, with the carefully designed course in hand, faculty will effectively deliver the course. This part is where the rubber meets the ground to implement the course teaching plans as designed. This part is addressed confidentially by the course teaching evaluation, and QM does not review teaching evaluation and delivery of the course. So don't be afraid of the QM people around the campus. Next, a high-quality course will integrate quality course content with current and up-to-date information. For some discipline, for example, nursing, textbooks that are 2 or 3 years old are already obsolete, while for some disciplines, the main text doesn't change. However, this doesn't mean all the references and supplemental contents may stay the same. Instead, the faculty will be encouraged to continue updating and integrating recent materials and resources to the course. Institutional infrastructure will also play an important role in online environment. Not only the support for technology, hardware and software through campus IT, but also the complete cycle of support for students, including the administration, academic support, students' life support. And the bottom line is that institutions are to provide the same level of support and resources as the students who are living on campus. Since online courses are delivered on the learning management systems, also called LMS, it is critical that the LMS provides a stable and user-friendly interface for students, as well as sufficient and effective support when students and faculty need them. We are glad that UNC Charlotte has teamed up with Canvas to provide a true 24/7 support for students and faculty. We would like to encourage you to let your students know about the 24/7 Canvas help desk available through telephone and live online text. Faculty like you who are knowledgeable and skilled to design and teach online courses would be a must. And we are glad that you are keeping abreast with the online teaching skills as well as research in online pedagogy. Last but not least, it is not infrequent to find students who signed up for online course but lack critical skills in the areas of technology, academic skills, and life skills. For example, time management, believe it or not, is one of the critical factors for students to succeed in an online course, especially where no direct face-to-face supervision is provided in class. The Distance Education Office has a short self-survey for students to assess if they are ready to take and be successful in an online course. You're welcome to use the survey in your course. Do you have any questions about the components of the successful online course?
No.
Great. And welcome, Lynn, as well. So as mentioned earlier, QM is focused on course design, contrast to the course delivery. Course design is the forethoughts and planning that a faculty member puts into the course. So for example, in your course, how many discussion forums that you plan throughout the course, how they are paced in a course, and what students are asked to do in the forums, and whether you provide guidelines and rubrics would be counted for the course design, and QM will specifically look into that. Compared to that, course delivery is the actual teaching of the course and the implementation of the design. So how you as a faculty will choose to respond, how many times and how long, and what ways to respond to the students will be the delivery portion of the course, and QM will not be reviewing that part, and as the delivery is assessed through course or teaching evaluations. So it's not about you, but about the course. Any questions about the contrast between design and delivery? All right, we are moving on.
Okay, thank you, Enoch. So with all of that, we're talking about the difference between course design and course delivery. Now we're going to actually go over the resources that we do have here at UNC Charlotte to help make this process a little easier for both online and blended courses. So our resource overview today is going to be our Quality Matters resource site, our Quality Matters course template, and some of the review resources that we have for faculty currently. So the first resource is our Quality Matters resource site, and I'm going to talk about how we access it, what it is, and how you use it. But I'm going to do a screen share to walk you through how to actually access it, so just be patient with me for a moment while I switch over my screen. Okay, so you should be seeing my Canvas homepage here. And before I go any farther, on your Canvas homepage, everyone should be added already, faculty anyway, to the Quality Matters resource site. And if you don't see it, then you do need to make sure that you email me, rwahl@uncc.edu, so that I can add you to the site. And maybe you're already added to it, but you didn't know what it was prior to this workshop. And if you've hid it from yourself on your dashboard, the way that you're going to get it to come back is if you go to the Courses menu, and then all the way at the bottom, if you go to All Courses, you can scroll through, and down here, the Quality Matters Development is the kind of site it is, so you can look for that sort of header. And then just make sure that you put a star next to the Quality Matters resource site. And you won't see the course template. That's available inside of the resource site, but you should be added to the resource site as a student. So if you just want to add the star, then it will show up on your dashboard. And no one really knows how the dashboard is organized in Canvas, so it could be anywhere on your page, but mine is right here. So this is what it looks like, the tile. I'll go ahead and click into it. And that's all you need to do to access the Quality Matters resource site. So now that we're in it, what is this resource site? The resource site was built recognizing that although the rubric with its standards provides quite a bit of information in the annotations, and if you have taken an official Quality Matters workshop like the APPQMR or the IYOC, you'll have received a copy of that workbook or the rubric in PDF form if you took the one of those workshops online. We do have access to that elsewhere in our Quality Matters system, but for now, to get you started, this resource site may be very helpful for you. So the way the resource site is organized is that there is a link here on the home page to every general standard in the rubric, and there are 8 total. And there's also a link to an explanation of the peer review process that discusses how we here at UNC Charlotte are approaching the journey towards a peer-reviewed Quality Matters course. So you can use the links here on the main menu to navigate to the first specific standard within a general standard, or you can actually go to the modules. And here you will see them all listed out for you. We have our introductory material. We have a specific review standard page for each of the general standards in the rubric. When you are approaching using this, some people are asking questions of, well, if I do all of these things, does that mean that my course is Quality Matters certified or Quality Matters ready? Enoch is going to talk a little bit about that at the end of our workshop, but just as a quick note here, this information is presented to help you sort of help yourself with your online course development and your blended course development, because a lot of instructors, when they first start teaching online, or even if they've been teaching online for a while, don't have a lot of information about how to actually teach effectively online. So you sort of learn it as you go, which can be very painful. It's very exciting. I was self-taught myself when I started teaching online, but it could also be very scary. And so this site is meant to help you, to help provide some concrete examples and things that you can actually use right away without very much editing or without very much thought required into how you might actually do that in an online course. So I'm going to demo a few of these specific review standards. The first one I'm going to point out to you is standard 1.4. And the way that each of these pages is laid out is it has the point value of the standard, the summary of the standard, and this is what's available on the abbreviated rubric that you can just find in PDF form online. And then the overview is actually written from sort of a teaching perspective, and although it is based on the annotations in the rubric, it's not a copy of the annotation from the rubric, and the reason for that is it's proprietary, and so we don't want to just provide the rubric wholesale in our Canvas site. So that the overview is a little bit more context for how these things might be used, particularly at our university and with our Canvas LMS. There's also a tag here of where to include it. So maybe you're not sure where course and institutional policy should show up in your class. Maybe it can go in the syllabus, or it can be listed on a separate page. It's up to you where this information goes, but it does most of these things do need to be present. So this particular page actually lists off a lot of examples of typical course policies that you might want to include. And maybe in your class you don't want to include information on a syllabus revision policy because you don't change your syllabus, for example. So you wouldn't need to include that. Where possible, there are links to the University of North Carolina Charlotte's policies on these particular elements, so things like Title IX, withdrawals and student grievances. These links are updated every semester, and if there is an error, we appreciate it if you would let us know. So if you go in here and you click on a link and it takes you to a dead link, we'd really appreciate knowing that. We do check them, but we can't check them every day. And the university right now is going through a wholesale website update process. And as each department updates their website, it breaks these links, so it's not unlikely that that will happen. Hopefully that will all settle down eventually. But they have been updated as of last week, so they should be good, all of the links here. And all you have to do is you can just go here and you can copy and paste this anywhere you want in your syllabus or anywhere in your Canvas course as a new page or as a list of items like I have here. When you're done looking at a specific review standard and you want to return to the main list of general standards, you can use the home button to do that. I'm actually just going to go back up to modules. That is my preferred navigation method. So the next standard that we're going to take a look at is standard 2.1, which is the requirement for measurable course objectives. And it is an alignment standard. I'm not going to go into that a bunch. There's more explanation of how these work in the rubric inside of this Quality Matters site. And if you take an official Quality Matters workshop, that will be explained a little farther. But if you click on this, we have our summary, we have our overview of what course objectives are, some examples of what good course objectives look like, and some sort of actionable items of how you can create measurable course objectives for your class. And so there is another standard for this for module objectives. You may not be able to edit your course objectives, but you can look at the same information for your module objectives as well. Okay. And then finally, I think a really good example of how useful this site can be is standard 3.3, and that's our criteria for evaluation. Specific and descriptive criteria provided for the evaluation of learners' work tied to the course grading policy. So what this is asking for is that all of the assigned work in your class, essays, papers, tests, small projects, have some sort of evaluation criteria that is obvious to your learner so they understand how they are being graded and how what sort of feedback you might be providing, what is important to you as an instructor when they complete that activity or assignment. So I've included here quite a few different examples, right? So we have grading checklists and what those are, how they differ from a rating scale or a rubric, and then examples of all of those different elements. And then here, this is a really wonderful resource from the University of West Florida. They have a ton of examples for rubrics, and I think that they're actually broken down too by subject area. So you may be able to find something that suits in particular your subject matter, because the example here is based on, I think this is a writing course. Yeah, so that's a critical response essay. So with that in mind, before I move on to our next resource, which is our Quality Matters template, does anyone have any questions on how this resource site is to be used, how you access it? Any questions at all? Okay, so I will move on then and discuss our Quality Matters course template. Some of you may have already had access. Some of you may have already had access to the template. I'm thinking about you, Teresa. I think you've used it already. And you are welcome with the Quality Matters course template to take what we have and then edit it for your department and share it with your colleagues. Because once you have this package in your class, you can export it, you can edit it, then export it, you can give it to whoever you want. So how you can access our Quality Matters course template, it is in our resource site. So when you come into the Quality Matters resource site, if you just go to the modules or the general standard, Introduction to Quality Matters, it's in this particular module in Canvas, and it's here at the very bottom. So if you go to the Quality Matters course template page, there's some explanation of what it is. And just really quickly, our Quality Matters course template was designed with the student in mind. So in particular, our University of North Carolina, Charlotte students in mind. So that means that the links and the resources that are available inside of the template are customized for our university. So it's not just a general placeholder template. It actually does have accessibility information, student support resources for this college. The template is very easily customizable. If you don't like a piece of it, you can just delete it. If you want to revise things, and you just hit the edit button in Canvas and you revise the text. And the other thing that is really cool, at least in my opinion, about our template is that it does fulfill, with minimal editing, 21 of the 43 Quality Matters standards. And you will see that when you import the template into your class. The different elements are labeled with which standards they actually fulfill. So if you're using the template and then you're going on to do maybe like a self-check to see if you are hitting all of those standards, you can actually just use those as sort of a metric of, oh, there's standard 1.1, I've done that. There's standard 1.2. We do ask, though, that you remove those labels before you launch your class for your students because they won't know what standard 1.2 means. Okay. So some of the standards that are actually covered by the template include our student support section, most of the introduction materials, the course policy standards, and some of the technology like help and accessibility and privacy rules. So with that in mind, I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can actually load this template into your class, and Canvas makes it very easy. So this may be a little different from what you do from semester to semester. You might import material. In this case, we're going to have to download the export file and then import it into your class, which may be a little different. So the link for the file is here. We do make sure that we go through and update the template as well with links. And so I will show you how you can tell the most recent update date for the template once I have it loaded. So I'm just going to click to save it, and I'm just going to save it to my desktop. It downloads really quickly, and it has a file extension name of IMSCC, which is going to be different than everything else on your computer. It's really important with these export files, that you don't do anything with them on your computer, but let them sit there until you are ready to load it into a course. Because if you try to edit that file, it's going to give you a bunch of gibberish, and if you try to extract any of the files or something like that, you'll actually break the code. So you're just going to leave it sitting on your computer, and now I'm just going to navigate to one of my other development courses. And this sandbox already has the template loaded into it, and it's very messy. Disregard everything that you're seeing. It's a true sandbox. And now I've downloaded the file from the Quality Matters resource site, and now I'm in my new course where I want to add the template to. So I go to Settings. And once I'm on this page, I'm going to come over here to Import Course Content. For my content type, I'm going to do the drop down, and I'm not going to copy. I'm actually going to choose Canvas Course Export Package because that's what I created in my other class in the template site. So I'm going to say Canvas Course Export Package, and then I'm going to search for the file that I downloaded. I left it right there on my desktop, really easy to find. Select it. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to say all content. And the reason why is that if you say select specific content, you may actually leave off some of the important quality matters standards that are typically missed when people develop. And they're things like privacy policies, accessibility policies for individual technology. So I like to just use all content. And when I hit import, what's going to happen is it's going to add this material to my class. It's not going to overwrite material. And if by chance you have something in your original class that is named something similar to what it is in the template site, what this process is going to do is it's just going to add a -1 or 2 or 3. I don't know how many copies of something you might have in your course. It's not going to overwrite. It's going to add. So now that I have done that, all content, nothing in there has due dates, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to click import. There's not a lot in the template except for Canvas pages, so it should not take very long, and we are almost done. Okay, so now that I have imported that, I can just start navigating through my class, and I'll start to see what the elements are. So if I go to the home, this is not the home page that I imported, but if I go to modules, okay, let's find them. I've done this a few times. So see how it's added the -2? That means that I've actually done this like 2 times. So let's see. Let me make sure I find the right one. Sorry, I think that it's these, and then that got put in there funky. So if we look at our welcome, this is sort of the introduction from the instructor. Not the home page of the course, but maybe the first thing that students click on when they enter your class. So we have a welcome to, my name is, you can see that this has been labeled as standard 1.8. We have some navigation instructions and then instructions to you from the template. So you'll want to erase and replace anything that's in the brackets. If we go to the next page, this offers place for you to add a course overview. So this is usually just a description of the class. It's nice to have the course objectives inside of Canvas, an area for prerequisites, and if you don't have any prerequisites for your class, then you would list that. There are no prerequisites for this course. Required materials and optional materials. If you have this already on your syllabus and you don't want to repeat it in Canvas, then you can just erase those. And you do that by hitting the edit button and then editing it and then hitting save. So this is a course navigation overview. You'll want to update this for the actual menu items that you have on the side of your class. And then a grading and feedback breakdown. So this is how for this particular template, the example is you can replace that obviously with all of your elements and the point values. This grading scale differs between colleges, so you'll want to make sure you update that. This feedback requirement, how long does it take you to respond to both student emails and providing feedback on assignments, essays, tests, presentations, etc. Standard 5.4 is how students are interacting with one another in discussion forums, so you might provide some instructions here and in that late work policy. This is that course policies page, and in the template, all that's included is the Code of Student Responsibility and Academic Integrity. And this is for Standard 1.4, and the rubric pays specific attention to academic integrity and late work policies. The late work policy was on the previous page, and here is the academic integrity policy. These are the technology requirements that have to do with Standard 1.5, 6.3, 1.7, 7.1. So they're kind of all over the place. But these can be hard to keep track of sometimes when we're building in an online course. So if we're looking at the technology requirements, these are the things that students actually need for your course. So for example, if you have a hybrid course that you're teaching or blended, and in the face-to-face version section of the course, you're asking your students to use Poll Everywhere, then they would need an actual smart device to use for Poll Everywhere. So you would add that to this technology requirements, that they need a smart device for the in-class portion of this blended class. technology skills, things that they need to be able to do. And the reason why we include these is if students don't have these skills when they start the course, they know what they need to remediate on their own. And there's a lot of tutorials and YouTube videos online about how to do all of these things. If students know it ahead of time, then they can be proactive about learning. Now, a lot of students won't, but some students, particularly non-traditional students, really want to be prepared, and they're really nervous about online courses. So these sort of lists can be very helpful for them. We have information here that Enoch mentioned as part of our LMS Canvas support, all of these links for Canvas help, and then of course the phone number for our ITS help desk for students. And then here are these privacy policies. And a really cool thing about the privacy policies is that there are, for this standard 6.5 in our resource site, a whole list of pretty much all of the technology that you might actually be using in your course, and all you have to do is copy and paste that link into the site. So these are the basic ones. If you have other tools, maybe you use Dropbox, Google Drive, maybe you use Pearson's, My Math Lab, the links for the privacy policies for those tools are in the Quality Matters resource site for standard 6.5. And now we're to the accessibility. This is our accessibility statement from our Office of Disability Services. We have all of the requirements for this, for these standards to be met. We have a link to the website, we have an email contact, and we have a phone contact. We have instructions for students on what they need to do in order to get started with an accommodation process. And of course, there's more information on the DSS website. Accessibility information for the tools that are being used in the class. Just like for the privacy tools, there's a separate list in the Quality Matters resource site for the accessibility of all the different software and technology that may be used at UNC Charlotte. And then we have our student support and campus services. So our Student Services Online Backpack links to a lot of different student support services, and any of the services that are not listed in that backpack that we thought were helpful for students are also listed here. So the listed computer labs on campus, the Atkins Library Laptop Lending Program, and then our multicultural resources. And is there anything else? Okay, and then finally the last piece of this introductory module in Canvas is a what do I do first for students, which is incredibly important in online courses if you've ever taken an online course. So just really quickly before I move on, if you've imported all of these things and you hit edit, you can change any of the text that you want. You can remove hyperlinks and then replace them. And then when you're done editing those pages, then you can just click Save. And inside of the template, if you don't like any of this, what you can do is if you go to your modules, you can delete any of these elements by hitting Remove, so the down arrow next to it, and then Remove. You can rename any of the module headers if you don't like them by hitting Edit. And if you want to really thoroughly get rid of something, not just remove it from modules, you'll go to Pages and then View All Pages. And you can find the label and then just delete that particular page. So if you add the template to your course and you don't like any of it or you don't like some of it, you can remove it from the module page and then you can delete it from your pages list. So are there any questions about our Quality Matters course template? Okay, and now I'm going to hand it back over to Enoch to discuss some of the additional Quality Matters resources that we have here at UNC Charlotte.
Thank you so much. And Lynn and Teresa, thank you for staying with us. You have proven to be a great students, online students with us. As the singer Mavis Staples sings so beautifully, you're not alone. We do have resources available for you and various training opportunities for you to have your understanding and skills to improve. So first of all, a workshop called Applying the QM Rubric, APPQMR sessions are offered multiple times throughout the semester. And in the session, we provide a good overview and practice also how to apply the QM rubric to a sample course to start with, and then reflect on how can you apply the same the standards and understandings to your own course so that you can start to improving your course. And CTL also provides several workshops. The standard-based, a few of the standard areas, as well as accessibility to support you and expand your understanding. And designing your online course or designing your blended learning course are the another courses and workshops that we provide. So if you haven't taught a blended course, or if you haven't taught online course, fully online course, and wants to design it, those courses will also be helpful. And Lynn also teaches improving your online course, IYOC workshops, where you can actually have a very customized one-on-one consultation type session so that you will find the focus. What area do you want to improve your course, existing ones, and then how you can prepare and work on it, and we'll guide you through the process and offer resources for you. So those are available. And by the way, next week, Lynn, correct? We have another session coming up.
Yes, that's correct. I've just put the link for the description in the chat forum.
All right. So I didn't want to steal the steam from you, but that is another great session to really hone your skills in crafting the learning objectives and build a course upon it. And then with all those information and knowledge and skills with you, you will start revising your course. In fact, the QM sees that it is a continuous cycle, as you see on the screen. So you will continue improving your course. And in the meantime, if you come up with the questions, then you can ask Teresa. It's one of our associate faculty fellows, QM faculty fellows, and we have QM faculty fellow. So we have at least one fellow in each discipline area. So you can talk in the same language of your discipline and ask questions. Or if you would like to have a fresh perspectives and set of eyes to review your course, or have a question about the new ideas to do on your online course, you can definitely contact one of the faculty fellows and ask about it. And there is a self-check tool in my QM site where you can always refer to the standards and QM annotations. Annotations meaning the explanation of what those standards are, what examples you can look for and use, and directions, and also considerations for the specific context. For example, compared to the fully online courses versus hybrid blended learning course, what do you need to also add and consider? The QM rubric provides information about that. And against those standards and annotations, you can assess yourself, is my course meeting these standards fully? We call it 85% or better, better than just good enough in that criteria. So you can have a check through your course. And when it's time ready, then you can also submit for an internal review that will also prepare you toward even an official course review. So at any point, if you'd like to have a coffee and chat over, feel free to come visit us at CTL at any time. Our instructional design team members are all QM certified peer reviewers and master reviewers, as well as they have an expertise in course design, and would love to chat with you and talk with how you can improve your course in online. Lynn, anything else to add?
Well, there's one other resource for you in the Quality Matters resource site. It's on the home page and it's down at the bottom, and it's instructions for assistance with creating a Quality Matters account in order to view the full rubric. And the rubric is actually within our self-check system. And so if you are like wanting to get more details, or you are not able to sign up for a QM class and you want to learn a little bit more and look at the annotations, then that's how you will do that. So if you just go to the home page of our Quality Matters resource site, down at the bottom, one of the sections explains how to access the QM rubric annotation. So if you don't already have an account with Quality Matters, then you'll need to create one with your UNC Charlotte email. And once you are in the system, then there are some tools in there that are available to everyone as faculty at this university, because we are on the subscription, and so you have access to all of that information there. Okay, well, if there are not any other questions, then we can go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for attending. I hope that you found you were saying that you found the information useful, so I'm very glad. Please do feel free to share what you've learned today with your colleagues, and we will put the recording for this session on our website. The turnaround is usually a couple of days, so it'll show up on our homepage for a little while, and it will also be linked in the event description for this webinar, continuing forward. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.